So hey everyone, I'm back with another video, and the question I came up with in this video is that it's a question that is the question of all, the master of all questions. And what I'm basically talking about is, why do we ask questions anyway? So we philosophers make new philosophies, people ask existential questions, scientists do science to understand how the universe works. Psychologists bring new discoveries related to psychology, but why do we do it anyway? Why do we even ask the question why? That is the question I was trying to answer, and I couldn't find a really convincing answer on pure physical terms. Like, why do we even do it? Why do why do humans have an urge to ask what does it all mean? What does reality mean? What does existence mean? Why do we ask these questions? What is it inside our nature that propels us to ask this question? What is inside of us, inside of our brain, that primes us to ask this question? Like, why do we even do it? So, when I was doing my own personal research, I did a little bit of research because in researching this specific topic, I found out there is not much content on the internet that answers this exact question of meta philosophizing. Why we philosophize anyway? So, the brain's whole job is to predict the next outcome, so we don't get surprised by what is going to happen. Now, for one good way to get better at predictions is by building models, for example models of other minds. And when the brain is advanced enough to model itself, then it starts to ask certain questions that it cannot really answer, like its own ending, its own death. So further in my research, I discovered two things specifically that may slightly explain what does this all mean. So the first one, actually there is only one if I have to be more precise, and that is the dissolution of the self. If you look at the purely physical and naturalistic explanations, then the self or your sense of I, me, is a byproduct of symphony of brain activity that creates your sense of self. So people who just view the world through a scientific and naturalistic view then conclude that the self is just an illusion. But we also have other richer and non-strict unnaturalistic explanations as well, that in this case, when you experience something that is too vast, too big, then your sense of self, or somewhat your sense of self, you can think of this as your ego or as your I, the thing that you refer to as me. It starts to shrink when it meets something that is extremely vast in size. Picture someone staring at the Milky Way galaxy at 2 a.m. It is too vast for him to even consider, and his mind cannot really model it. So, his sense of self, according to what I have researched and the thing I came across, his sense of self loosens and it dissolves, and he tries to connect himself to the grander scheme of the universe. Okay, that is for this video. I hope I sparked some new questions and curiosity, and you see the next one.